Have you been feeling stuck, like you're just in emotional quicksand? The past few weeks, all the folks that I work with have just really been struggling with being pulled into the past and ruminating and just not being able to let go and move forward. So in this video, we're really going to focus on the knights and how the knights represent moving forward and forward motion and progress, and how they can help guide us with healing, forward motion, moving forward, letting go with some really positive health coping skills. We'll look at the mental health issues that are related to the knights and creating some really positive, wonderful rituals to let go and help move us forward. So welcome back to Integrative Guidance. My name is Julia Swartz. I am a psychotherapist with over 30 years of experience, really working on integrating modern psychology concepts with the ancient healing arts. And so we're going to talk about the tarot, some numerology, the images there, and also we'll talk a little bit about the astrology of what's been going on with the new moon in Taurus. And that happened last Saturday, the 16th. It's going to take us through the 31st, when we'll have the sun moving into Gemini. And so, you know, Taurus is really about our values and what we value. And if we're living a life that we don't feel like is authentic on the day-to-day, if we're getting along to go along and people-pleasing and not feeling like we live this genuine life, then that bull energy of Taurus is gonna make us feel super stuck, right? It's gonna not help us to move forward. And Taurus can be such a wonderful, fertile energy around our body, our sensuality, around the planet, the things that we enjoy. And so if that resonates for us and we connect with it, that Taurus energy can be super wonderful. It's fertile for planting. I actually planted my garden on the 16th. And for those of you who are watching some of the shorts, you'll see me go into the garden. And that can just be such a way to not only feel like we're creating something by planting something that we'll care for and then bear fruit later on in the season, right? It's also about the fertility of whatever we want to grow in our life, whatever we put our intentions on, of what's important to us and what we want to grow. So embrace that really wonderful Taurus energy. Try not to be that stuck, stubborn bull, because that can be the downfall of Taurus, right? Taurus can dig their heels in and be stubborn to their own detriment. So make sure that you're using that energy in a way that creates flow and what it is that you want to create in your life, right? That Venus part of Taurus, that is what we love and what we value and what's really important to us. So we're going to start off today with the Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles. So just to remember that the suit cards can represent a person or a situation. So we went through the minor arcana, the 1 to the 10. Now we're in the suit cards, which is sort of in the middle before we get to the major arcana. And so the first knight that we're going to look at today, the Knight of Pentacles, I want to make sure that we can really see that card. There we go. We can see this knight moving forward. Each knight rides a horse. And this particular one is showing us this forward motion, right? So this represents slow, steady progress. This will be rewarded, right, for our efforts. If this represents a person, it's someone who's stable, responsible, and hardworking. The mental health issues can be our nervous system that might need to be repaired, needing some safe spaces that we create for ourselves, creating structure and routine that helps us feel grounded in a good way, and allowing ourselves some slow healing and self-trust. The Conley deck looks a little bit different. Right, so here's our image. We have our Knight of Pentacles with the horse really looking us in the eye, and so is this knight, right? So a solid, stable person doesn't have a hard time being open and honest and looking us in the eye. And so the rituals that we can create for ourselves around healing, if any of those mental health issues resonate for you, would be to make some tea or cook with intentionality, right? We talked about the sensory experience of the knights and the pentacles, right? So chopping herbs, making tea, cooking in a mindful way, stirring, chopping, smelling the food. A grounding meditation, getting in the garden, writing some commitments for yourself, not goals, but things you decide to do to really commit to yourself in a very meaningful way. So for those of you who like to garden or think about gardening, it's important to remember that there's two purposes that come out of that. One, again, is planting, having fertility, bearing fruits. The other thing is that when we're in the garden or walking in the woods or the forest, we are eliciting microorganisms that are in the dirt and in the soil, right? And enzymes that we actually breathe in. And when we breathe those things in, they go to our brain and they turn on our happy hormones. They turn on serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, right? It turns on those wonderful happy hormones. We have a pharmacy up here. We just have to tap into it, that help us to feel better. My daughter teases me and tells her friends that I am huffing dirt when I'm in the garden. It is my happy place. If you haven't tried it, start with a pot. Yesterday, I made too many Roma tomato plants and I gave away over 20 organic plants to folks. A couple of people just asked me questions. I've never gardened before. What do I do? You don't have to necessarily have a big plot. You can have a couple of pots. You can put it on your deck or just in a sunny spot, or if you have a balcony. So it doesn't require a whole lot of land if you don't have that available to you. Give it a try. See how it feels, right? See if it can be enjoyable. Our next night is the Knight of Wands. So reminder, pentacles, right, are earth energy, and wands are fire energy. And so our first card, the Rider-Waite deck, make sure we can see that really well, right? We see this knight looking forward and the horse charging forward with its front legs reared up, right? So this is an action-oriented card, right? It can be passionate, but can also be impulsive. So be careful, right? If it's a person, they can be charming and fun. They can also be volatile and unreliable. So if this represents a person, just be careful of that, right? The mental health issues are escapism through doom scrolling, getting tied into fear of stillness and not moving forward. It's okay to just be and just sit. Spent a whole session with someone on that today, right? Talking about it's okay to just be in stillness. You don't have to be doing all the time. Overextending ourselves or overcommitting to things can be some of the other mental health issues for this energy, right? That red feather, red represents action, but it can also represent anger and impulsivity. So be cautious about that. Our Knight of Wands in the Conley deck looks different, right? Yes, looking forward. Yes, that red feather in the cap. What's going on with that horse? Are we pulling that horse back? Are we needing to pull that head back in, kind of slow things down and pull the reins in? Is that what's going on? So the rituals that we can create around this night are lighting a candle and doing some candle gazing. Just being around beeswax candles has been demonstrated to turn on our happy hormones. Doing some somatic movement, maybe some dance, swinging the arms, tapping your feet, even humming has been demonstrated to really resonate in the body and have wonderful properties for mental health. Setting limits with ourselves by overextending our time, or setting limits around when we're going to stop work or give time to ourselves, and releasing the need to become, right? It's good to set goals for yourself and it's good to be moving forward, but if we're constantly stressed out about feeling like we're not enough and we need to move forward, then that can be the oppositeness of overwhelming, of feeling stuck in that emotional quicksand and not being able to let go and ruminating about the past and not being able to move forward or let go, right? Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean that what happened in the past is okay. Forgiveness means we're not going to hold that in our emotional backpack anymore. We're going to let go of it. We're not going to allow ourselves to allow other people or other events to hold authority over our emotions. The definition of forgiveness doesn't mean that that painful thing is okay or ever will be okay. That's not forgiveness. People get kind of confused around forgiveness, and the place where they get stuck is that they think, I'm not going to forgive that thing or that person. Nope. It's about allowing ourselves to release those events so that they don't hold authority over us anymore. Okay. The next night in our series is the Knight of Cups, and cups are connected to water and our emotions. So our first Knight of Cups is about emotional healing and allowing ourselves to be emotionally vulnerable. There's that moon again, right? And some Scorpio energy, which is deep, deep, deep in our emotional self. This invites emotional honesty, healing, and allowing ourselves to grieve, right? Creativity, compassion. You might find that you get a proposal or an offering of some kind. See the way in which our knight is holding their cup. This horse also looks like maybe it needs to be reeled in a little bit. It is moving forward though. There is a leg lifted. So there is forward motion here. And again, this is how knights guide us with motion and moving forward and taking next steps and challenges. If this is a person in our life, it's someone who's sensitive, idealistic, and imaginative. The mental health issues connected to this card are allowing our feelings, right? I say this often to my clients. When it comes to emotions, let it rip. Bawl your eyes out. Blow your nose and move on. We produce as much serotonin, one of our major neurotransmitters, in our tears as we do after we laugh, which is why Freud talked a lot about the catharsis of tears and crying, right? It's through allowing ourselves to feel and cry that we let it go, we move on, and it flows. When we won't feel it, when we won't let it come, we stay very, very stuck in that emotional quicksand. Okay, our Conley deck, Knight. Again, there's that offering, right? Red and white is passion and compassion. This horse is very much rearing forward, right? So some more of the emotional issues are releasing unhealthy attachments. Are you attached to the real person or the person that you need them to be, the person you imagine them to be? Lots of times people fall in love with someone that doesn't even exist. And when that person shows themselves after the honeymoon phase is over, we can feel heartbroken and bamboozled because we fell in love with the potential of who that person is and not who they really are. So our Knight of Cups. So again, cups are really about, again with the moon, connecting to our own intuition and the importance of listening to that. Some rituals that we can create are writing a letter that you never send, taking a bath, going into the ocean, doing some water cleansing, drinking a lot of water, listening to music or poetry. Some dream journaling is amazingly helpful. When I have really powerful dreams, I will journal them and then often look back at them months or sometimes years later, and it's incredibly powerful, the intuition that comes through with that. Also speaking forgiving words to yourself and to other people. We're gonna make mistakes. We're humans, right? Life is not about the fork in the road, right? Life is about a rotary that has an infinite amount of exits. We get off exits, we travel them for a while. If they work for us, we stay on them. If they don't, we get off and we try again. As long as we pull out the life lesson from the pathway that we took, it's not a waste of time and there are no mistakes. If we keep repeating those patterns over and over again, Freud called this the repetition compulsion, we are not learning our life lessons, right? Eastern philosophers call that karma. The same situation shows up. Are we paying attention? Are we repeating patterns? Or are we noticing what we need to own, what other people or situations need to own, and moving forward with that information? Then it's really purposeful, right? So speak forgiving words to yourself, okay? All right, the last night in our series is the Knight of Swords. So remember, swords are air. They're our cognition, they're how we think, they're our attitude, and our mental abilities. So our first sword, Knight of Sword here, let's see that. Man, that knight is charging forward, full steam ahead, right? So we want to be careful about mental overload, and maybe needing to do some cognitive releasing, right? Maybe we're charging forward with impulsivity, right? Sometimes we do need a new perspective, we need some change, but this card really warns us about impatience and impulsivity. And if this is a person, they can be a strong ally who can help us with conflict or resolving an obstacle. See the cloudy skies. Sometimes that means that there's an obstacle. Sometimes swords in the air with the pointy end up can represent a challenge or a situation that we're going to need to deal with. And in the Conley deck, the skies are even cloudier, right? This knight is looking forward. There's some leaves from the wand that look like it could be fall. They might maybe look a little bit burnt, or maybe the other opportunities of the green leaves are falling. The sky is dark, right? This horse is black and looks like it's pretty standing still. So the mental health issues here can be rumination, trauma-driven vigilance, which means being overly attentive to things, overly stimulated, overly in warning mode. Some perfectionism, and some reactive communication, right? Rather than being proactive in our communication, we can be reactive. Some rituals that we can create are to do breath work, because this is air, taking some silent walks without devices, and naming what no longer serves us, right? And so one of the things that we can do is we can choose each one of the knights and create a release for ourselves. If we choose the Knight of Wands, right, maybe we burn that list because it's fire. If we choose the Knight of Pentacles, maybe there's something that we write down that we want to release for ourselves. We can bury it because that's earth. If it's a sword, maybe we place it under a rock. If it's a cup, maybe we tear it in little pieces and we let it dissolve in water, right? And so we set the intention of what it is that we want to release, connected to that element, connected to that night, and we release that information, right? We release whatever we feel like is bogging us down. We thank that experience for teaching us, and we recognize that it no longer serves us, and we're ready to move through and away from that thing. And humans need rituals, right? We create rituals around birth and death, around marriage, around adolescence, around all the developmental stages that we go through in life. And so rituals are very meaningful and powerful, right? I've talked about this before. The Mind-Body Institute, the Herbert Benson Mind-Body Institute, talks a lot around using sensory and imagination information in order for us to provide healing and create opportunities for us for mental health healing. So there's lots of data to support this. Some people think that tarot cards and numerology are woo-woo, when in fact, and the point of this channel, is to identify the way in which these ancient healing arts are actually grounded in science and in data. So thank you again for joining the channel. I hope that integrating these things together are helpful for you. If you try some of these rituals, let me know how it goes. You can send me an email, an inguide, INGUIDE, @gmail.com, or you can comment here and just let me know if these rituals work for you or how they resonated for you. If you have been feeling like you're in that emotional quicksand and you felt stuck and you can't let go, then let me know if that's resonated for you and how that's feeling for you. It's super helpful for me. If there's something that you want me to address or look at around mental health issues and these ancient healing arts, I'm totally open to doing that. I am going to be talking about some basic tenets of astrology, especially for people who are skeptical, right? And my channel is really for people who are just starting to stick their toe in the water around these ancient healing arts. You know, some people have been in therapy for years and just felt like they needed the next thing, or it didn't really help, or it didn't really resonate for them. And that's why I blend these things into my work with folks, and I get tons of positive feedback for that. So if there's something you want me to look at, let's look at that. We'll be doing the queens next in our series, and I also will be talking about astrology in terms of the very basics around why should I even buy into this? I think it's hooey. I don't believe that. I'm fill in the blank, and that doesn't resonate for me at all. Whenever I read my horoscope, it doesn't fit at all. Or, you know, how do these things affect me at all? A lot of people are very skeptical, and so giving information to pop the bubble on that skepticism can be super helpful. So thank you again for following the channel. Thank you for liking and commenting. Hopefully we'll communicate and you'll be letting me know what you want more of. Take good care.